so I just couldn't. And during that time I always tried. Obviously I was going out for the odd game, but I realized how bad my game got, let's say, and I thought I have to do something different when I'm ever picking up the game. I retired 3 years ago, so I have the time now to play.
Right, congrats.
Shortly before that, unfortunately, I had was always a couple of things which were stopping me to actually really pick up the game. I had a blood clot in my head. It was developing over quite some time, got really big. It was 2.5 inch by 1.5 inch by 1 inch in the middle of the brain. So it took me out for some time.
Holy cow.
My left side was a bit paralyzed. I had a hanging face and my speed was impacted. I got over that relatively quickly and I was tremendously lucky to survive that. But then this was impacting obviously the start of the game. I was then trying 2 years ago to restart the game, was really keen, had the time, went out, was picking up lessons, went through the things you are describing, everybody's telling you something different. I couldn't really get it. Although I was over your side last year, and it didn't took long to actually really understand everything made suddenly sense. Okay,
good. And, we hear that a lot. That's good.
Yeah, and whatever I saw, learned, or seen with others, or what they're telling me, I could actually put it into bits and pieces and restarted the game. I fully took on board your way of starting and learning things, and from the recovery I had, my brain, I actually realized how slow things sometimes are.
Yeah.
But to be honest, in the first year I said, okay, I will still try to play golf. So I was trying to pick up your thoughts actually while playing and hitting full shots. Actually, I never went through it. I said I could still leave that. If it doesn't work, I believe it. I'll give it a try. If not, I can always go back and invest another 3-4 months or so and restart. I improved my game tremendously. When I restarted, I couldn't break 90. I was not good enough, was not hitting it consistently. I'm back now on my old handicap, so
good.
It helped me tremendously what you were describing about. I was reading your materials, seeing the videos, and I was trying to apply those things while I'm playing, while I'm practicing. I'm still struggling with quite a bit. It hasn't sunk in. I can sometimes adjust myself on the driving range. I'm the only guy using the mirror on the range, and we only have one on the range. And so I can actually get adjusted. I'm losing it obviously on the course very quickly because it hasn't sunk in. So, so I'm very inconsistent. And there's a couple of things which I'm still struggling with. I think the setup should be really okay. I think I'm turning. I'm maybe not creating as much tension as I should. I often forget it. Like, I have to actually remind myself, oh,
sure,
you are just too loose and when turning. My biggest problem is certainly the weight shift. This still comes from this brain damage I had. One of the things I'm retaining, I have a, how do you call it in English, extension.
Early extension?
Paresis. I can't get on the heel and roll up. I'm flat-footing. I'm sometimes walking like a stork. Okay.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Which doesn't help the weight shift, and that doesn't help to actually get in the heel down in the ground.
Sure.
I had a conversation last week with my physio, who I'm training still with to recover from that, and he's expecting that I'm probably actually, when I'm standing straight, I'm probably actually having 60% on the right side anyway. I didn't put all the training in, so that's not helping. Is a problem for me. I'm not getting it yet. That's what I need to work on. I was going through the shot, throwing my entire body in the past. I'm trying to stop that. taking on the way you should release, but I'm struggling with that. So
Okay.
that's still not there.
Right.
So that's where I am right now. As I said, I've improved a lot. I'm playing relatively well. Haven't spent time on my short game, so I'm still having potential left and right. So I think I've actually even playing better than before, but I'm still not consistent enough. I'm not compressing the ball. I'm hitting it consistently behind. I'm not hitting at the ball, slightly behind. I'm picking up the ball from the ground.
Okay.
Relatively well. I'm playing that, but it's obviously giving me not the distance, and I'm not having the clean contact I should. That's what I'm still working on.
Okay, so we got a few things. We got some physical potential limitations with the left side, some injury stuff, but we can work around all the stuff, no problem. So let me just watch you hit a couple. I'll put a couple on video, and then we'll get jamming.
This is not unusual. I thought I hit it down on the club, hitting it a bit thin. That's usually the contact I have.
Okay.
It's not too good.
No problem. Okay. Let's start with face on. So we'll start here on the left. When you look at your setup, now I'm assuming you look at your swing on video quite a bit, right? When you look at setup, what do you think I notice here?
Okay, what I would usually try to correct, I had this problem in the past that I was overusing the right side, so I still would actually try to get that line straighter.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
maybe a bit more axis tilt.
Exactly, right?
That's what I meant actually. On the range, I need to actually see a couple of things, actually get into it.
Sure.
A couple of shots. So that's.
Yeah, so we've got no axis tilt there, right? And you notice you've got that little kink here.
Yeah.
And then the right arm tends to be pretty straight. And this is, again, when people are really right side dominant, they set up with a weak right hand, flat shoulders, no axis tilt. Right?
And I had that much more.
Okay, so this is an improvement, but the problem is that this is going to lead to all the shots that you're describing. The thin shots, the inconsistency, the lack of compression, because the more you're on top of the ball as you go back, the more you're going to have to flip it coming down, because this is going to preset you into a weak right hand. You see how that's a little bit weak. So but let's just walk through it as we go. So yeah, very, very weak right hand grip, left arm buckled in there. Head moved quite a bit off the ball. And a big hip turn. So you said, I've got to kind of think about creating this resistance and stabilizing the lower body. So we see that right away when you're going back, that you've got a pretty big hip turn here. Everything's just kind of turning together, right? It's the whole body.
I need to actually put in more, try to actually develop more resistance.
Yeah, so we'll attack that. And let's see how you're going coming down. So we've got the old right hand throw. You're doing the things that everybody will do when they set up the way that you're set up, right? You have to do that to scoop the club. You can make contact. So, and that's why you don't have any compression. So you get back to about where you were at impact. You see the left arm is completely broken down. Now, part of this could be the mechanical weakness that you may have in this left side. I don't know how much you've recovered from where you are, but either way, we can fix this. Even if I have nerve damage in the left side of my body because I broke my neck, and so my left arm, I have the strength of a 3-year-old child. Very, very weak. I have no strength external rotation, which is kind of important for golf. So, but there's ways to adjust and compensate and work for these things that will get you into a proper impact position in a minute, no problem. So, but this chicken wing and the right hand scoop and flip, it's starting at setup and it's being exacerbated as you go back. So we're going to fix that first. Let's take a look at the down the line real quick. So typically when you look down the line, when somebody sets up in this right side dominant position, the right forearm sticks out above the left. So I can see your left forearm underneath your right. Should be the other way around, right? But this is just a little visual clue for you in the future as you notice yourself when you're videoing.
One of the things which I realized and then was forgetting.
What you gotta do is get set up right. Second thing we gotta do is get your brain the right hemisphere of your brain firing to start getting this left side to activate, so we know what it's trying to do. And then once we have that together, then we'll start worrying about the body movement and all that stuff. But right now we've got kind of macro things that are going on that we need to tackle first. So go ahead and set up for me. Take the club. I want you to set up with your left hand only, and take what you think is now going to be a proper setup after seeing how you were set up correctly. We don't need that. Okay, so when you're setting up, you're doing what a lot of people do when they set up to get axis tilt. Instead of sliding your hips to the target, yeah, exactly, you created side bend. Yeah, so now your spine is going to have a really hard time rotating because you're compressing those facet joints. So just let your hips slide to the left. There you go. And what you'll do, as you do this, you'll notice everything just kind of falls into place. This left shoulder goes a little bit higher. That allows this to be straighter. But when you're set up this way, this arm wants to fold, right? So there you go. Good. Left arm only. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to get you perfect right where I want to slide your hips more to the left. There you go. And you're doing the right thing. As I pull your hips to the left, your upper body just responds by falling back to the left, or to the right. Perfect. Now, from there we can play golf. So now, go to the top of your swing. Okay, so when I told you to go to the top of your swing, what did you initiate that movement with? Okay? Well, that's part of it. But what you also did was you started turning your hips immediately. So your clue to initiate the swing is not upper body rotation. It's the whole thing. You're actually using your legs to start twisting your hips. And that's what gets us in trouble. So get set up right first. Always set up right first. There you go. Now, all I want you to do is rotate. See, that's moved right away. I'm going to hold this. Rotate your upper body. There you go. Keep going. That's when you let that in there. Good. There you go. Much better. Now, come down from there. So shift to the left. Shift first, shift first, shift first. There. There's a difference, right? You wanted to bring this down first, right? You feel it?
Shoulders and arms are always moving.
Okay, so get set up again, right? That's better. So a little bit of hip bump there. Now, I'm going to hold this and hold this, and you start rotating your rib cage like you're going to turn and talk to somebody back there. Just turn your whole rib cage. There you go. Good. Keep going. Good. Keep this knee flexed just a hair. Good. Now, the only thing that you've got to think about, forget about this, is this guy going back this way. Now you notice as you do that, your head, your spine's going to tilt back just a little bit, and that's what's going to allow the club to drop down on the plane. Again, let's go from setup. Good. Left arm straight. Better. Got this there. Just turn. There you go. Left. Good. As you come down, I want your arm just to let it start working down. Don't try to pull it down. Do what you did there, which was great. Let your hip bring the club down. Keep this back, so you can keep your back, or you can keep in your chest pointing at the golf cart there. Shift your hips left. There you go. And then from there, let this release.
I have to think about disjoining the upper and the lower body.
Exactly. You've got to learn to move them separately. Exactly. That's why when we're breaking this into chunks. So the first thing, once you get loaded up at the top, you forget about all this stuff. Forget about your arms, your club, your shoulder, and just shift back to the left, and that will initiate everything that needs to happen on the way down. Make sure you have axis tilt. Slide your hips to the target. There you go. Go back. Good. Shift to the left. That's all I want. Perfect. Excellent. There you go. Again. Okay. Go back to address. Let's do it again from the whole sequence. Let's do that again. I'm going to bring the mirror over here so you can see what you look like at the top, which is infinitely better. But I want you to see what's happening when you come down. I'll put this. See this okay? See yourself okay there? All right. Okay, now watch yourself in the mirror. I'm going to help guide you. Yeah, you see how you started to tilt there. Finish your turn. There you go. Now all I want you to do in the mirror is get your hips to come this way while your head is look in the mirror. Look in the mirror. There you go. Keep your head right there. Move your hips. There you go. So you feel how your spine tilted back a little bit more as you started coming down. So there you go. Good. Axis tilted address. Slide your hips. Good. Hips. Keep the head back as you come down. Shift to the left. No, not your arm. Hips go. Hips. Keep your arm there. Now turn your belt buckle to me. Perfect. Now we're in a great position to deliver the club. But this has to come down first. Has to happen before you do anything with the club.
I'm realizing when I'm taking the club back, let's say that I tend to actually turn my entire body and I have to separate.
Exactly.
I'm going back.
You want to know the simplest way to feel that? Come over here and sit on the golf cart for a second. Now, just turn. There you go. How much did your hips move? 0, right?
I just realized that I've never done that. I was trying to actually build resistance on the right side, but I didn't realize that I have to start left already.
Well, you have to think about it in terms of muscles that you're going to use to rotate. Right now, when I sit you down like this, you can't use your hips anymore. You can't use your legs. Your pelvis can't move. It's stuck, right? So what you're going to start realizing is that as you rotate to talk to me, these obliques have to fire. These are your primary rotators, right? So that's all you're really trying to discover, so that when you stand up, do this a few times, keep doing this where your hips don't move at all, then you realize, oh wow, they can move completely separate from each other. Arms across your chest, just turn like you're going to talk to me. Perfect. I mean, you make a huge turn there. That's almost 90 degrees. Big turn, huge turn. And your hips haven't moved at all because they physically can't. So what I want you to do this 15 times, just rotating back and forth. I want you just to feel your obliques activate. I'm going to poke and prod you a little bit so you start to feel these muscles activate. Feel that? Relax your shoulder. There you go. It's not the shoulders that are moving. We're moving from our core. The shoulders get moved right here. There you go. Keep the shoulder down. You can feel like you're pulling the shoulder back a little bit. But keep it down. You want to imagine that this shoulder is staying as far away from your ear as you can get it. Back and forth. Good. Feel these muscles yet?
Yeah.
Good. A few more. Keep going. Good. Relax your shoulders. So when you're going back, you're doing this. Left hip. Turn your belt buckle to me. Done. Whole golf swing. You just mastered the entire thing. All we got to do is get your arms to play nicely with that. But this is the whole thing, right? If we get set up right, not setting up like this, right? And then we rotate our body going back and just use our hips coming down, it can't get any simpler than that. Good, axis tilt. Excellent. Relax that right shoulder. Close trap. Shrug it. Yeah, and depress. There you go. So anytime you're not sure if your shoulders are elevated, when you go back like this, just shrug them up as high as you can and then depress them. Pull them back up and feel your shoulders go side. Do that one more time for me. I want you to really feel that this is quiet and this is just rotating on top of it. There you go. Now you can see how much less your hips move that time, which means that's how much less they have to move in the downswing. So we're just simplifying everything. But when you start to get a little sloppy and you lose your focus on that feeling that you had sitting in the cart, then everything's going to go together and then we're going to be right back in the same boat.
No, that's something new. As I was trying, when I was working on that, I was trying to actually more, where do I actually go to on the right side, but I never realized I have to actually watch the left side. when I'm turning, start turning.
They both work, right? So
Yeah.
your obliques, anytime, any muscles that you have in your body that create rotation, they always work in pairs, right? So like if you turn your head, these muscles here are also are going to rotate together, right? Same thing here. You may feel one more than the other, but they're always going to work together. So yes, you can't just feel just all right side. It's got to be both. Good axis tilt. Excellent. Left hip, turn your belt buckle to me. Perfect. Done. Beautiful. Again. Relax the shoulders. Okay, stop right there. Look where your chest is pointing. Where's it pointing? Yes, it's too open. So you turned your shoulders that time. We don't turn our shoulders in the downswing, just the hips. Good. Shift to the left. Point your belt buckle at me. Done. There you go. Perfection. Excellent. Again. Let's do 5 more perfect ones like that, and then we'll add the left arm into it. Okay, do it one more time. I'll let you watch your head just a little bit more. So slide your hips to the left just a hair. There you go. I'm just going to keep your head in there a little bit more quiet. There you go. It's perfect. Shift to left, belt buckle to me. Done. Excellent. Watch your head movement. You're letting your head move a little bit. So when you were sitting in that chair and you turned, how much did your head move? Right? So you just got to, now it's okay for your head. I'll give you like that much movement. 1.5 inches, maybe 2 with the driver, but any more than that, we don't, it's just adding too much variability. Excellent. Shift and belt buckle to me. Perfect. Way better turn, way better. Again, or come on down. Yep, perfect. Now watch your chest. Chest is pointing down here at these balls. Don't let it open. But your turn that time was so much better, so much tighter. We got to make one more little adjustment and we got it. All right. Go back to address. So this guy, so here's a ball here. I want that knee to be pointing at that ball, and I want you to feel like it stays there the whole time because you're letting it rotate, and so your knee's pointing over here, which allows your hips to over-rotate going back. So just keep it anchored in there. Feel like it's pointing at the ball. As you make that great turn, it's going to feel like it stays there. There you go. Stay right there. Make sure it gets up that ankle. Perfect. You feel a little more load in the hip. That's going to make the trigger back to left.
Axis tilt and more weight on the left side. I need to concentrate actually more on the right side. I realized that. Usually I think this was relatively still. Now that I'm on the left side, it got loosened.
Sure.
But,
right knee pointing at the ball. Keep it there as you go back. Nice good turn. Good. Left hip. Belt buckle. Done. Perfect. One more good one just like that. See if we can put them all together. We don't want to stack too many things on there. Keep that knee pointing at the ball. Relax the shoulders. Left hip. Belt buckle. Perfect. Now, let's do it with just your left arm hanging straight down at address. And it's not going anywhere, you're just leaving it there for now. It's going to move because your body's moving. Just relax it. Gravity. So this should be totally generic guide, but you can use like a palm width and a half. It should be hanging right underneath your chin with your right hand. So this is going to be about here. That's the gravity setting. There you go. Okay, so what happened, right? So we lost the right knee and the head moved and the arms, right? This is why it's so important to work through the system
in the sequence I've laid it out, right? And I'm rushing you through this to get you to feel the whole thing, so when you go back home to Germany, you don't need me, right? But I want you to see that these mistakes are normal.
When you stack one extra thing, especially when you're dealing with the arms, all hell can break loose because we can't focus on that many things at once. So I'm going to give you a few more chances, and if we don't get it, that's totally okay. We'll go back to just the body. Excellent. Good. Left hip. Belt buckle. Perfect. I'm going to give you one final cue as you're coming down. Go back to the top. Go back to adjust. We're just rotating our rib cage like we were sitting in the golf cart. There you go. Now what I want you to feel is that this arm feels like it stays up here. Don't try to bring it down at all. Just let your hips do all the work. There you go. So what I'm trying to get you to feel is that by the time you get into impact, your hand is still here. So by the time you post up, my hand is here, and then I've got something to release with. But if you're bringing them down together, you don't get the benefit of that post up and snap move to use your legs for power. So leave the hand back there. Relax the tilt. There you go. A little more. Bump the hips a little more. There you go. Perfect. Gotta get set up behind the ball. Good. Watch that right knee. There you go. Shift to the left. Leads the arm. Look, your arm's already at impact. Your belt buckle's still pointing at the ball. Arms got to stay back. Go to the top again. Make sure you have axis tilt. Excellent. I'm just going to hold your arm up here. You just worry about your lower body. Yep. Keep getting posted up. There you go. That's if I hold your arm up here, that's where it is. And now once your legs are posted up, these arms are going to whip through there, but you got to leave them up there. You can't bring them all together. Your tendency is to want to turn and move everything together and then do the same thing down. So you're going to learn the real swing when it's sequenced correctly. It's like a rocket. It goes in stages, right? And it can be a little disjointed when you're learning it because you kind of have to exaggerate some things to get the separation you need. So for instance, when you're going back, you may feel at first, I just rotate my chest. My legs don't move at all, but I obviously can't make a full turn like this until I let my weight shift to the right and my hips turn to help me finish, right? But you may have to chunk it. Okay, now I'm halfway there, finish it, same thing. I go to the left, I stop, I post up, I stop, I come down impact, I stop. It helps you get the sequence of it without having to try and do it at full speed. Excellent. Shift. There you go. Good. Really good. I'm going to video one, and I want you to see the difference. All right, go ahead. All right, let's take a look. All right, so setup definitely looks better already, right? We're on the right track. Now, as we keep going back, versus now we've got a lot more coil going here. The hips haven't turned. You've taken out 20 or 30 degrees of rotation. It's pretty significant. But you still made a full turn. We get that right arm on there, you're going to make a full turn, no problem. So we're loaded up here. We're coiled up. It's almost exactly where I want it. And then as we start down, this is the big key, is that do we leave those arms up there? I always look at something like this. When I look at the downswing, I look at the ratio of how much your hips move to the left versus how much your hands move in that same span of time. Most amateur golfers, their hands are going to move 5 times as much as their hips move in the downswing. So let's see what happened with your old swing. Look at that. Hands have moved a foot, hips have moved an inch, right? So what I want to see is the opposite. I want to see the hips move 5 inches and the hands move an inch. They're exaggeration, but you get the idea. So now look how quiet your arms and hands look. It's just falling, hips moving. We need to be a little more aggressive with it, but it's great progress. But look where the hands are still. By the time you get posted up, you're almost into a good impact position here. Your hands are still 3 feet from the ball. We've got some time for them to still accelerate by using the leverage that we've created in our body. Whereas this guy, hips are still not into impact. So now your hands are in the same spot, but look at how your lower body.
I always felt that I was posting up and was not turning the hips.
Yeah.
Which gave me a flipping motion of the club.
Part of it, right? So it's kind of a chicken or the egg story. If you start bringing the club down with your right hand at the top, which you are here, then the club's always going to overtake your hands, and you won't have time to physically move your hips out of the way. The hands will outrun it, right? So that's what's happening here. But now you look like you got something left to hit with. You've got some leverage there, and when we add the club in a minute, you're going to see that club's going to look like this. You have a ton of lag versus that club's way over here, right? So now you've got nothing left to hit with over here. This is dead. Now we're going to look like we've got something to really put some smack on the ball, and that's the fun part. Now your hips are rotated. Hips are really open, right? Way more open than they were over here. Let's see where you were. Look at the difference. Your hips are square. Here your hips are open, and the hands are still a foot from where they're going to be. This is the sequence of how to get you there. Now, the challenge of it for most golfers is taking the time. We've spent 30 minutes doing these drills, and you've completely changed every fundamental of your swing that was off in 30 minutes, right? But a lot of times we just don't have the discipline, or we're missing some critical piece. We're like, oh, well, it's okay if my arm's a little bent, or I don't have access or whatever. It all goes wrong.
I heard you saying I should tilt to the left, but I didn't realize how important it is.
Axis tilt, if you listen to all of the online swing reviews that Chris and all these guys have given, they probably have said axis tilt in 97% of the lessons, because most people don't do it. They don't set up enough.
I was leaning to the right.
You're getting the side bend, right? We want to keep that spine in neutral, not just for protection, but also to create more rotation, right? When you start doing this, you're cutting out a ton of rotation.
You also got me even more on the right side.
And that's going to make you want to drive even harder with the right. So it's all these little fundamentals make or break your golf swing.
Yeah.
So let's get set up again. Belt buckle move right away. Rotate from your obliques. Excellent. Way better. Shift and belt buckle to me. And while you're doing that, you just think about your arm and your shoulders still being back here. Yep. You don't have to use your arm right now. You can. But I just want you to start envisioning in your head that everything's staying back here once you turn it back there. And it's just the core and the trunk that's bringing it down. Shift, belt buckle to me. Perfect. Do you feel a little bit more closed with your shoulders that time?
Yeah.
So you kind of kept them back there a little bit? That's great. That's what's going to allow everything to whip through at the end.
I used in the past to actually stay too much on the balls.
Balls of your feet?
Which I was not doing it intentionally. I was just doing it that way, and I was trying to actually get more back to the heels. This setup now actually allows me to stay much easier on the back than before.
Good.
Also.
Good. It's the little details that make it all work. Good. Good. There you go. Whenever you feel ready, you can put that left arm back out there. No rush.
Excellent. Shift, belt buckle to me. Good. Shift. Good. There you go. Feeling different?
Absolutely. I need to do this much more often. I'm missing the trigger a bit from the left side because this is different to turn the rib cage. I didn't do that, so it feels I always have to remind myself now.
Sure.
And I think, oh, I need to start this way. It's not natural.
Well, the good thing is, like, if you get lost on feeling these things, like that chair drill sitting down, you can get it right away, right? You'll feel immediately those obliques activate.
I guess I just need to do it much more often to actually get used to it. It's just a totally different feeling than before. I usually also don't do practice swings. I'm just getting onto it. That's where I need to actually then have the right start. And now I'm just a bit unsecure.
Sure.
It's fresh, so I need to actually settle this in a bit. But I fully get it.
Look at the hip turn there. Go.
Awesome. Can you speed it up by 15%? Just all I want on the speed up part is just the downswing. I don't care about the backswing.
Yeah.
I want to see that your hips can move about 10 to 15% faster than that. We want to start challenging our brain until it screws up, right? Because right now you're doing it great, and I want to see if you can go a little faster. Good. Again. We go as fast as we can until we screw it up. No axis tilt. No axis tilt. Look where your hand is. Your hand got out here before you got posted up, right? Better. I want you to try to get there even sooner. What I mean by that is I want your legs to get here while your hand is still back here by this thigh, not together. Now, let's do it again. Your hips turn quite a bit in the backswing. No axis tilt. There you go. Not bad. Almost. So the movement is great. The sequence is what I want to change just a hair. So I'm going to grab your arm up there and hold it up there again just a few times so you can get the feeling of the stretch that we want to create in this left side. As this is rotating and this is staying back, this is getting lengthened even further. And what happens when that happens is that is what allows you to really snap the club at the bottom. When these muscles lengthen and then contract. Okay. Nice and straight. Get aggressive with the left leg. You got to keep pulling me over because I'm holding your hand. The only thing that's going to... There you go. Now you feel a big stretch over here, right? And you feel your arm wants to go, right? Again. Use your legs. Fight me. Fight my resistance. There you go. And then let it sit.
Feel-wise, I'm still struggling with the axis tilt, and the more weight I suddenly have on the left side
It's probably
than before. That's why I'm feeling I need to practice this. This is where it all starts.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, you can use the mirror as much as you want because you'll see, like, you probably feel like when you're setting up that you're like this or something weird, right?
Yeah.
But you look in the mirror, like, oh, it looks totally normal.
It's just this new thing. Coming down, I think I need to do it better, but it seems to be more natural to actually move the hips and turning and let the arm way, because I'm feeling also no longer as stretched in the upper body.
Yeah, before you took your, you swung your arms across, you made a big turn, but your arms got really deep at the top, and so you're creating a lot of tension in the wrong places at the wrong time, right? Now as you go to the top, these are going to chill out, your arms are going to be relaxed, and these legs are going to be like, I got a fire, I'm ready to go, and that's what's going to pull the arms down. Get that arm up there. See, when you finish moving, so I want you to break this into chunks. So I want you to go, I'm going to show you. You're going to go halfway down and stop and see where your arm is. So what I mean by that is as you come down, I want you to get all the way posted up where your weight's over on your left, your hips are open, and your hand is still back here. If it's here, then we got the sequence wrong, right? Axis tilt. There you go. Leave that arm up there, hips. See how far you keep that arm away from the ball. There. So we want to get at least to this position where we're opened up, your hips are 30, 40 degrees open, and the hand's still back there. And that's where we're going to have that last little bit of spin. There you go. There you go. Yeah, there you go. That's what I want you to see. And then let it come down. It's not that your hands are going to go from here to here and dramatically accelerate. In fact, they're actually doing the opposite. But what I want you to feel is that if we put this all in big picture at speed, that what happens is these hips are really accelerating the hands here. And then they can release and slow down, right? So I kind of have to exaggerate a little bit. Good. Watch that right knee as you're going back to our lower body movement during the initial part of that takeaway. Getting a little soft where the hips are turning a little bit, the knees going in a little bit. I know we're having to juggle a lot of things here, so. Good. Nope. More like that. We're going to add the club down. I love it. Great. So, all you can see right now is I'm just literally walking you through the 5-step system, right? So, step 0, setup. We had an axis tilt issue. We had weight shift issue. Core rotation. We've added the left arm. Now we add the club. And then we add the right arm at the end. Simple. So, I want you to take the club, hold it upside down, the left hand only. Now, what do you want to do there? Uh-huh. Make sure you have axis tilt. There you go. Right knee externally rotated there. There you go. Shift, leave the club at the top. That. Yeah, to kind of finish that little bit of hip rotation at the bottom. So, what's funny about this stuff is that we didn't change the drill. We just put something in your hand, and all of a sudden, the sequencing goes off, right? That's why you have to be really smart and patient at the beginning as you add something, stack something onto the mix here. Good. That. Core rotation. Rotate your rib cage like you're going to talk to somebody in that cart. Leave the club at the top. Just your left leg is all you're focusing on. Excellent. There you go. Now look, we've got tons of lag. That's the sequence that we'd want to be in. That's where the club would be right there. And we just let the hands release. Very nice. Excellent. Perfect. Love it. You can take a break if you need to. Oh, no, good? All right. Q-tip turn. Look at that right knee. Watch yourself in the mirror. Perfect. There you go. Good. Starting to get the feel of it?
Oh. It's amazing actually how small those things are, but how much difference it makes.
That's all it is. I've always told people this is the easiest way to swing golf. You can't have any fewer moving parts. You still hit the ball from your yard.
It's perfect. And what would you want to change there? It's the same position I'm in at that point. So from there, we just let that wrist release. We haven't talked about release yet, but this is all that matters right now because now we're setting all the building blocks to be able to get into a great impact position with a ton of speed because we've got all this leverage now that we couldn't create before with the way that we're swinging.
Yeah.
Keep the left arm straight. Watch yourself in the mirror. Yeah, there you go. Shift. Then move out of the way. Open up the belt buckle. There you go. Yep, and then release. Good. There you go. Good. Yep, perfect. Your hip movement's getting a little more quick without you having to think about trying to speed it up.
I think I have less problems with the downswing. Or I still need to work on it, but it feels more natural what I'm doing. I'm still struggling with the takeaway. I have to think about this all the time,
That's okay.
and because the tendency is to actually start this move, and I have to actually remind myself, don't do that.
No, exactly. You've nailed it. At least you know what's causing that now. Good. Your hips were very quiet. That's great. Perfect. Love it. Watch that right leg straightening up as you go back. Yep. When you go to the top, so your tendency is for this to, like I said, externally rotate and straighten. Right? And then your hips over rotate, and then you deactivate the glute.
Yeah.
Because now all of a sudden that muscle actually has to lengthen to allow your hips
I
to
realized that's what I meant actually. Obviously with that exercise I have more weight on the left side, less on the right side, so it actually is for me actually when I'm turning, I'm feeling actually I'm a bit light on the right side to do that.
Gotcha.
So that's what feels different.
So the simplest way to change that, get it to feel right, is as you go to the top, stop like you are, and then walk into that. Feel like your head is moving forward. Good. All hips. Focus on your hips. Excellent. Keep your head down, look at the ground. Perfect. Do it again. Hips. Now, head down. Don't look out there. Nothing to see out there. A little bit late with your hips. So you heard the club strike and your hips were still moving, right? It's okay. That's why we're doing this. That's why we're doing this in this exact sequence. Don't look out there. You see, when you do that, wherever your eyes go, your head's going to go. Wherever your head goes, your shoulders are going to go. So when you're doing this, your shoulders are going to open up. You're going to leave the face wide open. You lose light. All kinds of stuff's going to go wrong. So just keep your head down, looking down at the dirt. Better. Good. All right, a couple of quick things I'm going to show you here. So, left arm still bending, and the hips are bumping out just a hair to the right. It's not bad. What I like here, watch your belt buckle. It's moving, right? Is it perfect? Is it fast enough? No, but it's there. The sequence is there. It's leading the downswing. That's the whole key. So now, at least the belt buckle and the hands are moving at almost a 1-to-1 ratio. Whereas your hands before were 5 times faster, right? So now we're starting to get the feeling of our core initiating and firing the downswing to allow the arms to remain behind and remain in reserve. Because the arms need to wait, and then before you were trying to let them stop. Now we're getting that's what we have a huge difference in the lag angle. Now, and watch one last thing. So your head's looking out here, right? Now, you're not used to having that much lag at this point, right? You're used to the club shaft already being flipped past your hand. But now you've still got 2 feet before the club's going to get there. But because you're in a totally different position than what you're used to, and you have all of this lag and this club, this hand leading into impact, right there is impact. Look how much shaft movement you have. So you were saying you don't have any compression. Well, this is why. But now because you turned your head, which allowed your shoulders to turn, which moves the hands further ahead, now you'd have so much shaft lean the ball would fly too low. You can compress the snot out of it, but it's going to be really low. So we got to have a balance. That's too good of an impact position. Your hand's too far ahead of the club, which is normal when we go left hand only. But this is why I'm saying I don't want your head and chest to start to rotate like this. We're not putting that guy in there yet. We got to get the big picture stuff first. Again. There you go. That's the feeling of letting the club release past your body instead of dragging it through the hitting area. Again. Not bad. So as you're going back, your right leg's starting to straighten again a little bit. So we got to watch that because as this straightens, it makes it really easy for you to start to kind of get towards the first pivot.
Wider on the right side, plus tension down both on the right side.
Gotcha.
Which makes that unstable, so I'm trying to actually get back. So
Gotcha.
I'm struggling more with the taking the weight because it's not natural yet. So.
There you go. Good. A lot of hip rotation during that initial move. Do it again. There you go. What did you do wrong there?
Just like the arm fall.
Yeah, the arm was way ahead of the hips, right? Hips, shift, still late. So even when you're swinging this club and I'm letting you release it, still try to leave it up at the top for a while. You've got to give your hips time. You're trying to move the biggest bone structure in your body. It's going to take a bit. So you can't give the arms a head start. The hips will never get out of the way in time. Leave the club there, focus on your hips. Better. Did you feel the difference in the sequence there? Good. Leave the club, hips. Better. Shift. Post up. Now you're late. I want you to get to the point where your belt buckle's pointing at me, your hands are still back here, and then the club goes. Close there. Pretty good. All right, one more. Let's get one on video. Let's check it. Good. How'd you feel you did on that one? Pretty good?
Good.
Camera never lies, so let's take a look. Nice and compact going back. A little bit of standing up there, right? Not bad. But look how much more open your hips are already compared to where you were. So we're close there. That's a much better release. So we don't have nearly the crazy shafting like we had a minute ago. That's still a little bit more than you need, but this is a good problem to have compared to where your club was flipping back there earlier, right? We're going to have compression as well. The only thing I really don't like here is your head. Up and out. See how much it's moved there? So what we got to do is get the feeling. The last thing you ever want in the downswing is for your head to move up and out. And when that happens, it's almost always because you're pushing off this right leg, and that's what does this, right? So what I want you to feel, we're going to exaggerate this a little bit, is as you're starting down, I'm going to have you squat slightly, very, very small, but we'll exaggerate it a couple times, so that your body is actually going to go down and compress, and then your leg is going to, left leg is going to stand up while your head stays back. So go to the top for me. Okay, now from here, what I want you to feel is that you kind of squat into both legs, and your upper body is going to squat down as well. Like you're literally going to do a squat. There you go. Just a little squat like that. And as you do that, then your left leg straightens up and you release. Let's do it again. Okay. Now do your little squat move. There you go. Perfect. Perfect. So there, what your head did, it moved about this much down from my hand, and then it stayed there, and then as you posted up, it moved back to where it was, which is normal. That's what it's supposed to do. Instead of just going up and out right away, you're squatting down, you're activating your glutes, your hamstrings, everything, so you can push harder off the ground as you get an impact. Good. Little squat. Good. Stay there, release. Perfect. There you go. Little squat. Good. Awesome. Good. Way better. Way better. I love it. Again.
Perfect.
This is what it looks like and feels like to stay in the shop. See how little your head moved there?
Yep.
Way better. And hopefully you're starting to also feel your legs start to be a little more active. They can participate a little bit more.
I did that, although quite a bit was coming from the past, but we were trying to lift the ball already
Yeah.
by going a bit up. So this was giving me trouble on my long clubs, 3-wood, where I was often actually getting too much.
Topping it
But
over.
it was always getting me speed, I realized that. But I didn't do that to balance out the head going too much up.
Sure, sure.
Plus it was at some time helping also to actually feel the back muscles when I was doing that.
Good. Popped up a little too much there. Do it again. A little squat down. Good. Stay in your posture as your hip gets out of the way. It's going to move back. And see, if your hip moves back, even while your leg is straightening up, a lot of people don't understand this posting up move, and they think, oh, well, if I straighten up my leg, my head's going to go up.
Yeah.
Your hip has to go back. So if your hip goes back, then your spine angle stays the same. But if your hip just goes forward or up because you're pushing off the right, that's why you have to use the left side. If the left side is rotating out of the way, how would it ever come out of my posture? I physically
I
can't.
realized that my hip turning was never good enough. I was posting up, but actually more standing up than turning.
Correct.
At some point, it seemed that when I was tucking in my right elbow, it was helping me to actually get rotation. And I had actually quite good impact when I'm trying to, I was never really getting consistent, but when I did that, it helped me turning.
Sure. Well, a lot of times when you're doing that, you're getting your chest out of the way
Right,
to make room for your right arm, so that's what you're associating with proper rotation, but it's actually causing you to open, and that'll cause you to cast the club and a bunch of other stuff. So. Let's try a few more, left hand only, and then I'm going to challenge you to put that right hand back on there. Right heel down. Any reason for that couldn't come up, right? Because that's going to make you stand up.
Yeah.
Keep that right heel on the dirt.
Didn't squat.
Yeah. And you were a little early with the hands. There you go. Good. Much better. Let's do 5 more good ones like that, and then we're going to put the right hand on. Good. Three more. Good. Doing a much better job keeping your head down and staying back and letting the club release. Arm got good, but the arm got there before the hips got out of the way, right? So you got to really put your brain in your hips. That's all you got to really focus on in the downswing. Closer. Still a little late. So again, if you keep doing that, what you want to do is chunk it, where you stop. Lock the hips in place, get them where they're supposed to be, and the hands should be back here. But if they're not, if you feel like you still got to move to get into your impact position, then the hands have gotten down too soon. Same thing.
Same thing.
Go to the top again. All right. Now, you're going to have to overcome me. I'm pretty strong for a little guy. So how would you, you got to use your trunk. Yeah, you got to use your legs. Your legs can outpower me, but you can't outpower me with your arm. Now you're posted up. Look where this club is. Look at all the stretch and coil you've got there. And then that puppy goes, right?
Yeah.
Go to the top again. Got to use your big muscles. Now release it. Good.
Just need to coordinate now the squat move with waiting.
We're getting there.
Uh,
Progress. Not looking for perfection yet, just progress. A little late still. Leave that arm up there a little longer. We're close, really close. Not late. Hips were late.
is a squat move moving to the left side?
Yeah,
So I can actually do this together.
correct. So when you're at the top of your swing, you're going to have 70 to 85% of your weight on your right leg, right? So the vast majority of it is over here, and your hips are closed. But as you're squatting back, I always like to tell people squat to square. So you squat back to kind of neutral, 50-50, and then you keep moving and posting up onto the left. Late. Leave that arm up there. What'd you feel?
It was a bit pushing, but it was a bit later than before, so
We're
a
getting
bit
there.
better.
Yeah, exactly. It's progress. We're getting there. Hips are overturning again. Exactly, and that's what happens for most.
Straight.
Well, most golfers they handicap themselves, right? They pick up the club and they're out there hitting balls and they're doing stuff like you, and they found enough band-aids and glue to kind of stick all this stuff together, but they're still doing, this stuff, and there's only so far that you're going to get. And the fact that you got down to a 10 is pretty impressive, given what you had going on in your swing. But doing what you were doing, you can practice 10 hours a day doing the same thing, and you're never going to get past a 10.
No.
Maybe temporarily, right? Because you're putting this lights out
Well,
for
that's
a week, whatever.
what I'm sensing right now, actually, because getting out of the range, it's different to actually be on the range or on the course. Actually. And on the course, the swing is breaking down quickly, and I'm not getting it. So
Exactly.
the day is gone. I can just forget.
Good. So you know now that we got to build these foundational pieces in there, which won't take long. You've got this whole thing. If you just did nothing but what we're doing right now for 30 days, 100 reps a day, it's not a lot. It's going to be 3,000 reps. In 30 days, you're going to make everything that you need to have happen in your swing happen, right? So take a month of just doing these drills and doing them right, doing them structured, slowly working up to hitting balls and stuff. Like you can do what you're doing right now, hitting balls, right? If you wanted to. There's no point right now until you can do the reps perfect. But if you can go to the top, shift, stop, and start hitting little shots that are only going 10 feet, that starts at least getting that next challenge in there.
When I was playing and hitting balls, I still felt a bit what was things which felt wrong. Okay, and I realized I couldn't correct it sometimes actually to the way I wanted, but I felt what it was actually. Obviously, realized that I was still casting, flipping the club. I didn't have to shuffling because obviously I was still pushing for the right side.
Right.
Couldn't flip it. But there are important things which I realized today. It's the tilt, which was obviously totally different, and I was turning my body. I always felt that, and sometimes I catched me and then I was trying to get more tension, but I was just concentrating on the right side rather than actually already starting the turn here
With your obliques, yeah, exactly.
And that's new. I never did that, and I felt that's very important. The downswing, it's far from looking right, and I'm still early with my arms, but I think I'm getting that.
For sure.
That feels more natural to do. It's what I was doing before. So, but significant differences to what I was working on before.
Yeah, I'm sure. So the downswing stuff, like I'm really impressed with how well you post up and use your hips and get out of the way. Like I said, I didn't like the head movements. We needed to fix that, which is why I threw the squat move in there. But otherwise, that stuff is good. It's kind of unnatural and awkward to go really slow in the downswing. You kind of have to exaggerate, like we were talking about holding the arm up there. But it's important to do that so you get the sequence and the stretch. But when you happen, this whole thing happens in a quarter of a second, right? So it's happening like grease lightning. So when you're going slow, don't worry about getting like every single little timing and sequence of it perfect, but get close.
Yeah, I realized that. And now I should have more confidence actually on what I need to work on, because obviously you can actually do a lot of things even in the program, let's say, and still feel you're not getting forward, but now it's clear what I have to focus on.
Good.
That's good.
So we've got about 20 minutes left, and what I'd like to do is again ramp you up and put the right hand on there.
Okay.
Now, in the real world, I don't want you doing this stuff, right? When you go back home, I don't want you putting the right hand back on, or even the left hand or the club at first. You just go back and do the drills. Once you feel like, all right, I've done enough reps, I got that, I can sit here and I can stand in front of the mirror and I can tell Chuck what I had for breakfast, and my left hip isn't doing this. I'm not kicking it in, I'm not rotating anymore. Then I'm like, okay, now I'm ready to add the arm, I'm ready to add the club, and so on. So that's kind of my checkpoint, is if I can sit here and continue this lesson and keep doing the same stuff over and over again and not screw it up. Tell you what I had for breakfast. I think I had some eggs, and the swing and the mechanics are still the same. That's when you've got it, right? And that's when you move on. But it doesn't mean, like I said, you don't challenge yourself and try to stack some things on there. So I want to put the right hand on there so that a month from now or whatever, whenever you're ready to start tackling that, I want you to know what kind of mistakes are going to be common, because you're going to do a lot of the same. Like earlier, your first swing, as you started going back, this right arm folded right away. It got really deep back behind you. So I'm going to give you some little tricks to help make this process a lot easier. So go ahead and grab the club again. Set up in front of the mirror. Let's do the same thing. Left hand only. I want you to go to the top, and I want you to stop. Make sure you have axis tilt. And this is why it's important, like after a break, like go back and recheck everything, right? Take your time. No need to rush to the top. Make sure we get it right. Okay. Straighten this guy out. There you go. Now, all I want, this feels kind of heavy, right? That's why you keep folding your arm, because it feels awkward. All I want you to do is bring your right hand up to support this. It doesn't feel heavy anymore. Relax it. It should go straight underneath. It shouldn't be out like this.
It's just coming from that position. I was trying to get.
This is how you get there, right? So as this is telling it what to do, and the right hand just comes up to support it, so that you stop getting into this really deep right hand position at the top. So do it again, left hand only. Good, left arm straight, right hand up for support. There you go. Now come down from there and let the right hand just come off halfway. There you go. and just let go with the right hand. We want to release it. So the way that you're going to start slowly integrating this is going to the top first, because you know, if you're doing it left arm only, you know you can get it right. And then you bring the right hand up there and you realize, oh, I don't have to have this thing lifted and all torqued out and tweaked so it's under tension. Just bring it up there nice and soft to support it, and then come down and just let the right hand come off before impact. Good. Right hand up for support. Good. Come on down. Let it come off. Good. Right hand for support. Excellent. Come on down. Let it come off. Let the club release. Let it come off before then. Ah! Don't you do that. Pushed against it and you flipped it. I wanted it to come off back here.
Okay.
Good. Okay. Now, you notice something? Look where this divot
Yes.
is. It's a foot behind where it's supposed to be, right? And how did that happen?
That's the right hand.
This is why I want the right hand coming off and not doing anything yet. So you haven't done this all day. Never once have you hit a foot behind where the ball was. The divots that you have taken have been shallow, way up front where they're supposed to be. And then you put the right hand on there and all of a sudden our brain's like, oh yeah, let's use it, right? That's why I don't want you to do that. There you go. Let the right hand come off and just focus on your hips. Okay, good. Your arms are firing first. Remember that ratio, belt buckle to hands? Your hands were moved three times as much as your belt buckle did there. And when you put that right hand back on there, it makes it way easier to make it go way too fast. So just because the right hand's on there doesn't change anything. It's still the left hip, little squat move coming down. Good, nice and slow, focus on your hips. There you go. There you go. That's where you're at when the hands are still back here. All the same stuff, it's just the right hand just is sitting at the top of the swing on the club and then it drops off. Nothing else changes. Go back. You pushed off your left hip to start the backswing. Better. Right hand for support, then forget about it. It's barely touching the club. Left hip. There you go. Now we had the little head standing up again. Right. And this is normal, but this is what I want you to see, right? So I know that you can't do all of these moves together and do them all perfect yet, but I want you to see what kind of typical mistakes you're going to make, right? So what's going to fall apart first? Typically that's going to be, for you, this left hip getting into impact first and you keeping your head from moving in front of the ball and up, right? So that's okay, but this means you're not ready for the right hand yet, which I didn't expect you to be, but I wanted you to see it and be like, okay, now when I start making these mistakes, this is what I'm going to see on video. There you go. Right hand's doing nothing. Focus on your lower body. Better. It's okay. You're pushing off the right a little bit. It's normal, right? This is what happens. Your brain is trying to juggle 16 different things what you're feeling right now. Totally normal. That's why we break it into chunks, and I'm pushing you through this way faster than I normally would because you flew here from Germany. So I'm not going to see you again for a while, I'm sure, right? So I want to make sure when you go home, you've got a 6-month plan to know, like, okay, 2 months from now, 3 months from now, 6 months from now, I'm going to make these same mistakes. and you're going to know, oh, okay, that's what happened. This fell apart, this fell apart. But you're making very small mistakes. It's all the same stuff, and it's really simple. So as we take these pieces off and remove them, put them to the side for a while. We don't need the right hand. Okay, we don't need the club. We don't need the left hand. Let's just get our body working perfectly. That's where you start. Then you can see, I mean, the difference is night and day from where you were, right? So it'll happen very quickly, but you've got to do the little stuff right first. Good. Now, hips relate. You're starting to bring that right arm down to bring the club down. So go to the top again. Do the same thing. Lower body. A little squat move. Yeah, there. There you go. Now, this is where you'd be with the both hands on there. And now you've got something to hit the ball with. There you go. Good. Yep. And then you would just release. Good. Good. Yep. And then let her go. Good. I'd want to tackle that release. I don't like that little right hand flip in there. how you develop that impressive muscle there. So I want you to let that thing come off. And see, even when you go to the top of your swing, literally just touch the club with your right hand like this, just your fingertips. So you don't get, as soon as you wrap your mitt around that thing, you're going to want to slam across it.
I was able to actually get a bit better by letting go. Actually, I was able to hit balls with letting it go.
Yeah, you should.
It was helping. Definitely, and I got distance through that as well because I was obviously holding otherwise the club too much, and on the irons I was even through the flip actually getting too much height.
Exactly, right? So you're actually going to slow the club down by pushing against it with the right hand, and then like you said, when you start letting this wrist do this, you're just adding loft. So you're going to go higher and higher.
Yeah, I had more oomph in the balls, but they were going higher than longer.
Exactly. So once you get this left hand and your, more importantly, your body to bring the club down and training it with the left hand, and it's dominating the swing. When you add right hand to add speed, you'll get all that speed, but you'll still have the shaft lean that you need, right? That's the piece that's missing. You added speed, but then you didn't have any shaft lean, so you just, like every amateur golfer, the harder they tend to hit the ball, the higher it goes. It doesn't go any further. Like literally your 9-iron, you can swing twice as hard as you normally do, but it still goes the exact same distance because you're just putting so much more spin and loft on the ball.
My club pro was actually feeling okay because actually on these firm greens actually they're holding quicker. Thanks so much.
Yeah, it's helpful when you can hit a 3-iron straight to the sky, but it's not helpful when it goes 150 yards.
Absolutely.
Fingertips, fingertips. Even more. Don't even, literally your fingertips can sit against the side. Oh, relax, they're so tight, relax. Just touch with the fingertips on the side. There you go. It'll make it way easier to let go of the club coming down. There you go, good. That's where you're gonna start realizing, holy crap, if I let go with my right hand, like you watch Vijay Singh and Phil Mickelson and Freddie Couples and letting their trailing hand come off the club, that's a release. It's called a release for a reason, right? You gotta let go. Fingertips. There you go. Good. There you go. That's your drill. If you feel like you can do it right, like you just did, right leg staying anchored in, not initiating the turn with all that, and have your right hand on there, then drill that. But like I said, start with just your fingertips, and then the club will naturally come away. That's why, let me borrow this for a second. Literally when I set up at address, when I'm having students do this, I'll literally put their hand like this on the side. So it's there to help support it a little bit, but then as you come down, the club wants to work away from your hand. So you learn to stop pushing against the shaft sometimes. But it'll help a ton to get that little burst of speed with zero effort. I mean, it's nothing to let the club go, right? That's where you're really gonna get the speed. But don't get caught into wrapping your hands around it, because your wrist was really, really rigid there. Yeah. And then I know you're gonna push against, you're gonna cast it.
And I'm holding it much lighter than before, I tell you. I was strangling that.
Well, the fingertips will force it. It'll get it, you can't hold on to it tight. So does this all make sense? You got any questions for me?
Not really.